the first episode of Gab with Gail. I think we named this today when I was at the barn. So let's call it Gab with Gail. And I'm going to be interviewing some people that I just love and I really want to learn more about the knowledge that they have. And so our first one is going to be Michael FreeHawk Polani. Did I say that right? Polani?
Polani.
Polani. And
Okay.
we're going to talk about crop circles, I think, today. Yeah, Michael and I met. He's a co-creator of the egg center, of one of the egg centers in California, but he now lives in nice sunny Arizona. So we're just going to jump right in because we don't want to bore you guys with all the detail. But Michael, talk to us about crop circles. Where do you want to start?
Well, where I could start is I have had pretty extensive experience with crop formations. And usually when I say that, people say, wow, you must have been to England, every summer to check them out. And to be honest, I've never been to England. Believe it or not, there's a lot of formations that occur right here in the United States. So between California and Arizona, I've done some field work, literally in the field, of about 5 to 6 different crop formations that have occurred from early 2000s to 2007 was the last one. And believe it or not, that was right here in Arizona.
So why are there so many in England? I've been reading about this. What's the attraction to England?
The overall consensus, it seems that number one, the land, as you probably know, is just ancient. There's a lot of amazing stone circles. There is a lot of amazing geometry in the landscape, which I think we're going to be able to touch on today too. It's really a culmination of many things. There's not one thing. The energy in the land, the sacred geometry, the knowledge of the ancients, and it helps a little bit too with the underground aquifers that have a lot of silica and a lot of conductive things to kind of lend to the process. So although it's a global phenomena, you're right. I would say the majority of all formations are located in England, especially southern England.
Okay. So yeah, I've been reading about the aquifers. What about ley lines? There just happen to be a lot of ley lines in England.
Yeah, the ley lines, the also called telerik lines, geomagnetic lines, they all run.
We probably should explain those for some of the listeners too.
Sure. The best way that I could describe those is they are the meridians or the chakra points of Mother Earth. And of course, they encompass the entire planet, but there are quite a few that run through that part of the UK. And it's no coincidence that a lot of the ancient ruins, which I like to call them temples because I think they're still active in a very energetic way. So here in the States, we call them ruins like they're just over and done with, but really they're temples, they're sacred temples. And those are all situated on those lines as well. So the ancients were very deliberate in their placement of those temples.
Yeah, I was reading that some of the old churches took over the ruins, if you will, or the old like Stonehenge type places and built churches over them because they knew that the ancients put them in those sacred places for a reason. Is that correct?
That is correct. Research is going to show that the land has that energy that we're talking about, and they knew where they were placing those very large megalithic stones as well. And it was really to just kind of cap those power points, if you will. So a lot of those locations were designated sacred, and those churches and temples that you're referring to, they were built directly on those.
That's so crazy. So I'm going to be in Stonehenge next month, and I am so excited. I'm trying to
Wow.
book, one of the private tours so we can go beyond the roped off area, but
Right.
they're sold out already. So I just sent an email today, but I'm like, please,
Wow.
please, I want to go. I want because you can actually touch them if you do a private tour.
Hmm.
The private tours are done at dusk when they close or at dawn before they open.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Amazing. And it's good to hear that it's sold out. So people are getting out and about and enjoying themselves.
That is a month away. Come on, people. I want an appointment.
Right.
So who are some of the experts in the field that people might, look at? Because, we know we don't want to send them to people who aren't experts in the field. We know how dangerous that is, right?
Absolutely. The ones over the years that I've really literally resonated with to kind of confirm and compare research is the first one. I think you may know him, Freddy Silva. Freddy has done some amazing work. I've known of Freddy since he had a full head of dark curly hair. So it's been quite some time. Also, I would say Lucy Pringle is still doing some amazing research that I've delved pretty deeply into, and her work lately has really shown what's going on in non-man-made or authentic formations and the measurable energies that reside within those.
So let me stop you there. We'll go back to Freddy Silva, non-man-made. So how can you tell? I mean, I know there's a lot of man-made ones out there. And I mean, what if people are just taking some cross-country skis and chomping down on the wheat fields?
Right. Well, I can tell you the best way for me to explain is, for me, there's really still only two kinds of formations. There's man-made and there's authentic. Maybe somewhere in the middle there is a third option, but that's another talk. The main characteristics of authentic formations is biophysical and biochemical alterations to the crop. And really what that encompasses is the respiration of the plant, meaning the inner workings of the plant, the mitochondrial alterations. What we've seen as researchers is there is something that happens very, very quickly within authentic formations that falls in the microwave range. So the authentic ones do not take hours and hours like a well-planned survey team may need to get a whole crew out there to flatten the crop and to make it look beautiful. Those take hours and hours. These have a characteristic that has been measured, researched to death. Doesn't make the mainstream, of course, but these things all fall down within seconds to minutes. So we can measure the respiration of the plants, hundreds of yards in one direction and the other direction of this massive formation. And they have the same characteristics of it happening pretty much in a blink of an eye.
Are they using like frequencies or lasers? How are they being like zapped in seconds?
Right. There's a lot of evidence to show, and speaking of Freddy, years ago, I'll say this was in early 90s, he made a correlation between sound and frequency with some formations. And there have been some formations that have taken on a very cymatic type pattern. And cymatics, for people who don't know, it's basically sound made visible, pumping frequency into a medium such as sand or water, lycopodium powder on a steel sheet. And with the different octaves of the frequency, it makes different designs. So
right. Jon Stewart Reed's work, and was it Hans Jenny? Is that the right guy?
yeah, Jenny
with the
or
cymatic?
absolutely.
Yeah, and Jon Stewart Reed. I've been in touch with Jon Stewart Reed a couple of times. Actually, he requested a copy of my book, which was cool.
Oh, that's great.
I want to do some cymatics work with the harmonic egg. Now we won't talk about that, but see what the different music selections are doing in cymatics to create mandalas or what sacred geometric shapes.
Right.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So it's amazing, amazing research. So some of those look like they're made with that type of sound and frequency, that trademark.
they're underneath the ground doing what the cymatics does, and they're just kind of vibrating the ground, and then this is happening? Or do you think it's coming from above?
You know, I've seen both, and I've seen research that supports both of those theories. Um, the famous, now deceased Dr. William Levengood, biophysicist, I had a chance to work with him on a formation that I discovered in Chandler, Arizona in 2007, which actually, that's funny that I just mentioned that this week is the anniversary of that. I think it's 14 or 15 years now. So that's
Whoa.
interesting little thing there.
Oh,
Um,
very
wow. And he was more of the belief that it came from above. He was a big plasma vortice supporter, which means it is coming from the air. It's coming down. Now, naturally, you know, you're going to see the little whirlwinds or dust devils that are capable of making simple circles. But then when we kind of get beyond that, the science of that kind of goes out the window. So I
I love
have seen above and below. And it could be another instance of, there you go. And you just picked up my favorite formation. That is the funny, that's wow.
this one. This one
It
is
is.
amazing. So I don't think a little dust devil could do this
No,
or this, you know?
no.
So these are Freddy Silva's cards. They're crop circle cards, and I ordered some and got really involved with this. And then I talked to Michael, and Michael said, you know, when I was working with the harmonic egg, sometimes I would let people pick, you know, something that they resonated with and maybe put it in the egg with them. And so these cards were tested with what Konstantin Karatkov helped Freddie test these cards
Right.
to see that they were the same energy as the actual crop circle. So these are very sacred. I don't touch the actual card. I'm very careful to not mess up the energy. But Michael, let me ask you this. If I were to put one of these under my water bottle, which I did do,
Mhm.
metal water bottle, or would glass be better, or does it matter?
You know, I don't think there's either one is any better. Oh,
Okay. Because I just ordered a Berkey water system, and I thought, you know what, every day, you know, I'm going to pop one of these underneath the system. And
right.
I mean, these things are amazing, and you know, you'll resonate with them. You flip through them, and some of them you won't resonate with, and maybe the next day you will. They're really, really cool. But these are Freddy Silva's cards, and they're just really near and dear to my heart now that I got them.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm so glad that you got those. I've had experience with those as well, and I do use them for water as well. I did use them for some clients. And yeah, it's as simple as just showing them the deck, and whatever resonates with them, they will take that. And there are healing powers in just the symbols alone. You know, years ago, I probably would not have said that. I would have said you had to be there and feel the energy. But as you know, harmonic egg, we are
Energy.
now looking into the distance. You know, quantum physics is showing that there's no space, no time. It's here and now, always. So
Well, I actually reached out to Freddie and I said, hey, you know, just kind of see what he would say. And I said, hey, like, so do you have a list of what each card does and what each card means? Because, you know, me and my intellectual little brain, I want to
right,
know, what does this do? You know, and he says, trying to intellectualize the process actually diminishes what the cards do. Good
right.
answer, right? And so I thought, smack myself in the head, and I said, you know, that's so accurate, because people have told me about the harmonic egg. They said you can't really verbalize what it does because you would negate it by trying to explain it in our human language that doesn't have the words to explain. So then, you know, I
Abs-
started researching biogeometry and some other, you know, characters in the biogeometry field, and they're intellectualizing signatures. And so, you know, some
mm,
people may resonate with them, some people may not. But now I'm thinking, am I over intellectualizing some of the harmonic egg explanations? But then the center owners are, you know, they want all the details. They want to know as much as they can about the music, the colors, the
yeah.
you know, the different aspects of it. So I'm hoping that center owners will then start to connect with the egg, intellectually, spiritually, intuitively, and use the egg that way. But then how do you explain that in science? You know? And one of the things, I was watching the video recently, is discernment is the foundation. So I was watching Gaia TV, and you know how sometimes you're listening to a video and then you hear a phrase and it's almost like it just hits you in the face. Discernment is the foundation.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, it hit me in the face. And so many people right now are doing all these energy modalities and they're not being discerning, and they're doing too much. It's like these seminar junkies, you know, back when we were younger, you know, we're probably close to the same age. I think you're younger than me, but I'm 50. And everybody would go to these seminars. We call them
52.
seminar junkies. Okay, so you're older
Yeah.
than me. You look
Yeah.
good. Seminar junkies, and now we have energy medicine junkies. And they're go
Yes.
from, you know, doing one thing to the next thing, and they're just overdoing it. They're not letting it integrate. The body doesn't know what's going on. So it's basically they're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner all at the same time. Jamming a breakfast, jamming lunch, jamming dinner. You know, you got to let it digest, let it integrate. And people aren't doing that. So discernment of also, who are you going to? Do you know the person you're going to? Are you letting someone work on your body that maybe has a lot of drama in their life and they're passing that stuff on to you? So crazy stuff's going on.
Yeah, you can definitely have too much of a good thing, and energy work and energy medicine is a perfect example of that. Like you said, integration, digestion, your body can't handle all that. And you know, it's unfortunate because there are some people who have that experience. They don't do it the best way. And then those are the individuals who don't have a good experience. And then that's what they verbalize to everybody that they know. You know, don't do that. It's horrible. It'll hurt you. This is what it did to me, so it might do it to you. But there is a optimal way to do that. And sometimes people just don't. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
But we
so
know.
many good things are out.
Yes.
Yeah, so many good things are out there. But I want to get back to the crop circles. So you've been in one.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
You know, from about 2003 to 2007, I was in, like I said, about 5 or 6 in California. And they were, I would say the experiences that I had were multifold. It was, I got to see what something that was authentic looked like. I got to feel the energy of an authentic one. I got to see the circus that takes place around the media trying to debunk these things. And those years were very valuable to me as a researcher, because I got to see so much in a matter of 5 years. And for me, when I walked into, I'll take the Chandler one in 2007, because that was really when things popped for me. I had a chance to work with Linda Moulton Howe, the biophysicist Levengood that I mentioned. And when I went into that formation, of course, your mind and my mind are very similar in the sense that I stood on the shoulder of the road there and I was like, okay, this could have been that, and it could have been some irrigation issues, or maybe somebody drove a truck through here, and maybe this and that. And after I went through all the, you know, the diagnostic differential of my mind, I saw things that it didn't match. So I went home, I got my my field investigative kit, which consisted of video camera, some things to cut the crop, some garbage bags, some labels, some pens. And I did everything I knew how to do. So I took control samples from outside the formation. I took it within, and within a short time, Linda Moulton Howe was very gracious with her time. She had them overnighted to Michigan to Pinelandia Labs, where Levengood was located. She threw it up on her Earth Files website, so it was around the world in like 2 days, which was amazing for me. And really, you know, I can tell you, Gail, that the energy that I felt inside of that one was it was different. There was, now since I've been a young child, I've had experiences in, paranormal, spirit, UFO, ghost, whatever you want to call it. I knew a long time ago that something resides outside of our three-dimensional existence. And I've always had the ability to feel things with the palms of my hands. And when I was in that formation, I put my hands very close to some of the centering and the swirling of some of the those areas of the formations. And I could feel this amazing tingling in the palms of my hands. And to me, there was a communication there, an energetic communication. But when I say communication, I'd have to go back a few weeks that I was in Sedona at that time. And I put out one of those messages to the universe that a lot of us do in our lives when, things are either dull, boring, horrible, and we just ask the universe for some guidance. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And am I where I'm at? Am I supposed to be here or somewhere else? And I put that call out. And a couple of weeks later, literally minutes from my home, is where I found that formation. And I named my presentations after that in our own backyard, because it was literally in my own backyard. And it was a very personal thing. Nobody else investigated it. They really didn't care, but I can tell you it did get on the Channel 3 News in Phoenix. So some people did take some time. I spoke numerous times at conferences, at a high school. Of course, in one of the newspapers, I was called a California UFO buff, who's a little off.
That's a compliment. So, I've been called worse.
Yeah, I know. And it's unfortunate, but like I said, it was it's amazing learning experience. But the main takeaway from that is I got to feel that energy, and there was definitely something that created that. And thankfully, weeks down the road, that Mr. Levengood in Michigan, he confirmed that everything that I sent him was 100% anomalous. And he had said that he had never seen that type of anomalous activity in what we call the randomly down formation. So this formation, I should say, it wasn't an amazing sacred geometry shape that we see in England. It was kind of otherwise. It was a little bit haphazardly made, but it is something that we've seen over the years. We just call it an RDF. It's a randomly down formation. They don't have to look perfect like some of the ones we're used to, because whatever makes the pretty ones makes these as well. So the energy and the energy behind that, or the consciousness behind that, exists in both. So I was super happy to see the results of those tests, because it confirmed what I had hoped.
Well, and that you weren't feeling the tingling in your hands if it was human made. You weren't feeling goosebumps on you or the hair on the back of your neck standing up if it was human made, because you're super sensitive to that. I may not. Right. I may go in there, and so mine is more of a clairsentience. Is that when you just know? Because I don't really feel it, but what I would just be like, oh, this is fake. And people go, how do you know? I don't know. I just know. And I trust that, because I just know that I know that I know. And if people say, well, how do you know? That's my answer. I don't know. I just know. So what do you think about some of the shapes? Like, this is what I'm trying to figure out. The sacred geometric language. It's a divine language, right? Each little symbol could be an alphabetic, like this is, D for, OG. So this means dog. I mean, have you studied any of that and what these symbols mean? Like, look at this one. What does that mean? It looks like one of those burrows of worms that get into the tree.
Right. Well, if you notice, Gail, if you look at that one closely, you'll see a separation or a disconnect in one of those paths. And that was interpreted as a break in our DNA. Oh,
interesting. Okay. Okay. So tell me more. Like, what else? So you say this is a, there's crop circles, you call it crop formations, but this one's not a circle. It's got a triangle in it. So,
Exactly. And
so
well, we
how
know
do
the
these, how do
triangle
you
has a very, the triangle has a very, it's one of the basic sacred geometry shapes, as you know. Now I can tell you, I'm not a sacred geometry expert by any means, but I'll tell you, throughout my life, it's always been reoccurring, and it's always been like, whoop, I'm over here. Like, take a look at us a little bit more. The formations embody that, and really, geometry itself is basically connecting us and everything that we know to the divine. So Tesla had a big thing, with the 369, and the numbers are embedded. So I know that's kind of where you're going with this. There are researchers that look into the formations in a very different way than I may, or Freddy. We see the inner workings of it. Where is this energy coming from? Once you know that there is a consciousness behind this, then we go, okay, well, what is this consciousness? Like, where is this coming from? So when you begin to break that down, that's when we start seeing like the 369. And there's actually a gentleman, I was just looking at some of his stuff. I think his name is Eric Rankin. Eric Rankin
he
is doing
interviewed
something.
me.
Yes.
He interviewed me on Awakening Code. Yeah, yeah. And it's
Okay.
sonic geometry, right?
I think that's it. And I think he's the only one that I've heard of, and this kind of blew me away. I can't believe he interviewed you. Anyways, so he's taking the degrees of geometric shapes. We'll say the circle is a sacred symbol. Well, a circle is 360 degrees. So he went and he did something to the effect like 360 hertz. And the circle has a sound. And
Yeah.
when you go back years, there's the music of the spheres, which basically that's now the micro or the macrocosm. The planets have that as well. So it's the as above, so below. And Eric Rankin is doing great information or research on that information. But I mean, this sacred geometry, there is a code. I mean, everything is, as much as I hated math growing up, because I like to say I didn't have very good teachers, was there is math encoded in everything in existence when you break that down. Everything.
In Bulgaria, there's some scientists that are working in a hospital. They created a room that was a sphere and found that the patients in that room, their blood is coagulating faster.
Exactly.
They created a pentagram room, and they're finding, let's see, improved health. They just call it improved health. Do you know any books that are defining this? I really am looking for a book right now that will show me, okay, here I am intellectualizing this again, because this is me. Where are these shapes? I know, right? I'm like, oh my God, so the sphere is always going to do this? No, it's not. But, here I want to put some things together. I think that, with the harmonic A, we've got the circle on the top, the hexagon on the platform for the chair. We got 360 of healing. We got an egg shape. Somehow that's made some magic. And so I want to figure out what do different shapes do. So if you know of any books, like hit me up with them, dude.
Yeah, I will. And you know what? I'm still kind of trying to find those as well, because there's not a lot of them.
No.
And I know a lot of the information that's out now is definitely cutting edge on putting these things together and making sense out of them, because it's all connected. But it takes some time. And I was always very very intrigued, because we go back, and we won't get too far off track here, but with Tesla in the 369, and it's the way that I understood Tesla and what that whole thing was about is the 369 was said to represent, I think he put it as a vector from the third dimension into the fourth. And I was like, wow, what does that mean? That sounds really cool, but what does that mean? And he called it like a flux field. So there's a jump. For example, the 3 in the triangle, the 3 represents mastery and creation. The 6 represents, I mean, there's more than one, male, female. It has to do with the love, balance, and harmony. And then there's the 9 that has to do with completion or the end of a cycle. And then when you put all those things together, there's like a step 1 and a step 2 and a step 3, and they're all very high dimensional numbers. And if I'm not mistaken, sounds silly, but Tesla and I had something in common that throughout my entire life, ever since I was a kid, to even when I played football in high school, moving into college, I was always number 3. And I had a thing for 3. When I pull anything off a shelf at a store, like a magazine or anything, I'll go to the 3rd back. If I go into a parking lot, I'll go to the 3rd one over. Or if it's over here, I'll go to the 3rd one over this way. But it's always 3. And I heard that Tesla had the same thing. Hotel rooms that he stayed at had to either add up to that or had to be that. So there's just a thing inherently that we know. And I think that's really where the sacred geometry fits in with us, because we are sacred geometry. It is embedded in our DNA, and we see these things.
Well, you
in
say
other things.
Exactly. I think all of nature, I look at nature now and I see 3s and, or it's a divisible by 3 or 6 or 9. But what you said about the hexagon, the 6-sided, the masculine and feminine.
Yes.
The 6-sided platform, angular inside the harmonic egg, was representative to me of the masculine, the angles, the masculine, and then the smoothness was the feminine, because I wanted that yin and yang.
Right.
So I never knew what you said about 6 sides. That's interesting. And then I'll toot my own horn a little bit, because I think you were probably really good at football. I was really good at softball. And if I couldn't get number 3, I'd be like, adios, amigos. And they're like, oh no, who's got 3? Who's got 3? Grab it from them, give it to Gail, because you know what?
Right.
Like, she's getting 3, because otherwise she's going to walk. So,
right.
And that was ever since I was probably like 7 years old. I started playing t-ball. And then I played for 30 years and it was 3.
Yeah, I get it. It's just the thing. It just is, and I've accepted it, and that's pretty amazing. And it's oh God, I was going to add something to that.
Sorry.
No, and I think it just has to do with just the as above, so below, and just everything that we're about and out of the cosmos. I mean, there are so many things that correlate. It's mind-blowing to me when somebody, and I respect everybody's belief system, but it's hard for me personally when somebody says, there is no divine anything, there is no God, there is no creator. This actually, to me, I can only speak for myself, it shows and proves that we are just absolutely intelligent design and absolutely everything. We are an intentional species. We are not by evolution. I mean, evolution does exist, but not where the human being is concerned. There is so much data, if you will, to show that we are just a part of this amazing, amazing web of creation. And it's not until you really sit down and look at it. You look at a leaf up close in a microscope, and then you look at the nerves in our eyeball. I mean, they're all governed by the same geometry, and it's so hard to believe and mind-blowing, but it is it does explain why we feel resonance with certain things. I mean, because we're all kind of like tuning forks to one another. When you get near somebody who's not really having a good day, and you feel that. And just like I felt in the crop, and just like you feel, your gut feeling, and I think really where we're going with all this is like the sacred geometry. There are quote unquote healing aspects to it, and whether it's really healing or it's just bringing us back to our divine blueprint. My research has shown me that that's happened in authentic formations as well, just like in the harmonic egg. And there have been numerous stories that I could hear somebody experience a healing or even a healing crisis in an authentic formation, and then I hear somebody tell me of their experience in the harmonic egg, and you can't discern which person was where because they're identical. And I know some of the best research has to do with things like Parkinson's, and I know you've seen things like that, and I know you touch upon that in your book as well. And was it Norm Shealy as well with Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's, I believe? Yeah. So it's
it's an imbalance in the body. You bring that body back into balance, and we have these amazing bodies that can heal naturally. They can heal themselves. You know, why we believe we can heal a bone or a cut, but we don't believe we can heal Parkinson's is beyond me. I think we've all been hoodwinked, as my Australian friend used to say, that you know, we can heal from anything. So yeah, and I know we were going to wrap up. I think I've covered all of my questions. Any other, you know, closing thoughts? If not, tell people how they can get in touch with you if they have some questions for you.
Absolutely. You know, right now I'm putting together a website. So I do have a day job, so I'm trying to manage my time better. But I personally would say my email, I check my email every day. It's probably the best and quickest way to get me. That email is mpolani, Polani, 113 at gmail.com. And of course, I'm on all social media platforms. So Michael FreeHawk on Facebook, Michael FreeHawk on Instagram. Yeah, and right now, outside of the day job, you know, I'm just doing some energy work, helping some individual clients in the area, dabbling in the sound healing, of course, and just continuing my research and loving every minute of it. So thank you so much for having me with you today, Gail. It's been a pleasure.
So much. So good to see you again. I miss seeing you, and we'll put this out, and so everybody can enjoy.